Hi, this is former MLB pitcher Dustin Nippert. This morning, I'm joined with former MLB player and KBO legend Eric Thames.
What's up, everybody? This is Eric Thames. Annyeonghaseyo.
Eric, we're now going to build your MLB dream team. All right, this is going to be difficult. We've compiled some of the best players in all of MLB history to help you pick your perfect MLB lineup. Everyone, make sure you subscribe, watch this video all the way to the end, and leave a comment on who you would want to be on your MLB dream team. All right, first round is going to be starting pitcher. So Chan-Ho Park or Ryu Hyun Jin?
Chan-Ho Park.
Okay, Chan-Ho, Pedro Martinez.
Pedro Martinez.
Oh, Pedro.
Yeah.
Pedro Martinez, Max Scherzer.
Pedro Martinez.
Yeah, Pedro Martinez. Pedro versus Clayton Kershaw.
Clayton Kershaw.
Clayton Kershaw versus Greg Maddux. This is not easy.
Yeah, I know. You know, I'll go Kershaw.
Kershaw again
I'll go
over Maddux,
Kershaw.
okay. Clayton Kershaw or Roger Clemens?
Kershaw.
Kershaw again. Kershaw against, lefty versus lefty. Randy Johnson.
Randy
or Kershaw?
Johnson.
Randy Johnson.
Because Randy is like the biggest dog. I mean, like everybody knows, like nobody, even today, like he's retired, he's a photographer.
Yes.
Still, nobody wants to face him. Like, no, he threw 100 back in the day where nobody threw 100.
Yep.
And he was wild, but then he got locked in, and now he's a stud.
Yeah. One of the biggest things you can hit him is like the term like effectively wild, where you didn't want to get in the box because he could hit you, but then also he's dotting down the way and you can't hit it.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right, next we'll go closer. Oh Seung-wan or Kim Byung-hyun?
I'll go Byung-hyun.
Okay, why do you think BK over Oh Seung-wan?
You know, I shouldn't because he.
You got him.
Yeah. He's a man. He threw mid 90s, upper 90s from down here.
Yeah.
Like, it's a stud.
Whenever like nobody did that.
Yeah,
He's
nobody did
coming
that.
from Korea doing that.
Yep. Nobody did that.
All right, BK or Francisco Rodriguez?
BK.
BK or Billy Wagner?
Oh, Billy Wagner.
Billy Wagner, Dennis Eckersley.
Billy Wagner.
Billy Wagner, Joe Nathan.
Billy Wagner.
Billy Wagner or Trevor Hoffman?
Trevor Hoffman.
Trevor Hoffman, Mariano Rivera.
I got Trevor Hoffman. Just because I have some friends that played for San Diego, and I heard he was like a great guy.
Okay. Yeah.
He always helped the young guys. He talked to guys about how he pitched and mentality, stuff like that. So I always like when guys give back. And he was gross, that changeup.
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny changeup.
All right, next round, we're gonna go catchers. Russell Martin or Joe Mauer?
Joe Mauer.
Joe Mauer, Jorge Posada.
Joe Mauer.
Joe Mauer, Yadier Molina.
Joe Mauer.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Joe Mauer, Gary Carter.
Ooh. Joe Mauer.
Wow. Joe Mauer or Buster Posey?
Oh. Posey.
Buster Posey or Ivan Rodriguez?
Posey.
Buster Posey, Mike Piazza.
Posey.
Buster Posey wins catcher.
Because he was just a stud in college. He's just a great hitter. Like he's a professional hitter. He's a guy that you want like on a team. And he had a great career. Like I respect him a lot.
If you're a good catcher, you're not a good hitter. But him, he was a good hitter. He threw guys out. He called a good game for pitchers.
Right.
And he was a great catcher.
And he raked in that ballpark.
Yeah,
A lot of guys can do that.
All right, so now we're gonna go first base. All right, Eric Thames, Lee Deho.
Lee Deho. What? I can't choose myself. I can't choose myself.
It's your team.
Yeah, no way. I'll be on the bench. I'll pinch hit.
Deho or Jim Thome?
Jim Thome.
Okay. Jim Thome, Ryan Howard.
Ryan Howard.
Ryan Howard, Joey Votto.
That's a good list. I got Joey Votto.
Joey Votto, Mark McGuire.
Ooh, McGuire.
Mark McGuire, Miguel Cabrera.
Oh man, these are all good. I got Miggy on that.
Okay. Miggy or Albert Pujols?
Pujols.
Pujols is your first baseman?
Because he's one of the greatest first basemen. And I knew he came as a third baseman and all that stuff, but like he was just great, like 10, 15 great years.
Yeah.
Unbelievable years. Like, yeah, he's one of the best.
Yeah,
hitters of
not
all
just
time.
like 1 or 2 years and a couple years off, then a game good. Like
Yeah,
the
no.
entire consistency of his
Yep.
like, career was
Yep.
like one of the best.
Yeah, one of the best all time.
Next position, we're gonna go second base. Jeff Kent or Chase Utley?
Chase Utley.
Chase Utley, Dustin Pedroia.
Dustin Pedroia.
Dustin Pedroia, Dustin Pedroia or Ian Kinsler?
Pedroia.
Okay. Dustin Pedroia or Brandon Phillips?
Pedroia.
Okay. Dustin Pedroia, Craig Biggio.
Pedroia.
Oh. Okay. Dustin Pedroia, Robinson Cano.
Pedroia.
Pedroia, Roberto Alomar.
Pedroia.
Oh, Pedroia all the way through. Nice
Yeah.
all the way through.
Yeah, he was short. He liked to fight. He was just like a grinder, dirty, grimy, like raked. He didn't care what anybody said.
Yes.
He's played his butt off every day. I tip my cap to
Yeah.
players like
Yeah.
that.
That was like, you said he's not a very big guy. I saw him, I even pitched him. He would swing at balls like over his head and he would hit it over. He would hit it out. It was insane. crazy. Next position, shortstop. Andy Ramirez, Troy Tulowitzki. Tulo, Jose Reyes.
Too low.
Okay. Tulowitzki, Omar Vizquel.
Ooh. I'd say Vizquel. Yeah.
Okay.
Vizquel.
Omar Vizquel, Michael Young.
Michael Young.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Michael Young, Jimmy Rollins.
Michael Young.
Okay, Michael Young, Cal Ripken Jr.
Michael Young.
Okay, Michael Young, Derek Jeter.
Michael Young.
All right, shortstop, Michael Young.
I'm a big fan of his, but it's a class act, professional guy, great hitter, professional athlete, professional character.
When I got traded over to Texas in 2008, he was with Texas. I'm just like
Yep.
you said, he's just professional at what he does. Like every day he shows up to the ballpark to play. He's a quiet leader. He
Yep.
doesn't have to talk. You just follow what he does.
Right.
It's kind of like you're like drawn to him.
Exactly.
All right, third base, Josh Donaldson, Justin Turner.
Donaldson.
Donaldson, Jose Bautista. You want to go back?
No.
Okay.
I'll go Jose Batista.
Okay. Jose Bautista, Scott Rowland.
Batista.
Okay. Batista, Adrian Beltre.
No, Beltre.
Okay. Beltre or Chipper Jones.
Ooh, okay, that might be the toughest one. I'll go Beltre.
Okay. Beltre, Alex Rodriguez.
Oh, Beltre.
Beltre or George Brett.
Beltre.
Okay. Adrian Beltre, third baseman.
I always love the videos of him when they touch his head. And everybody just, like
Elvis
that little
always smacking him in
icky
the
ass,
back of the
yeah,
head.
and he like hates it, but like he always looked like he had fun playing the game, and he put up insane, like hit 340 with like 40 and
Yeah.
insane years, and he did it year after year.
Yeah, like you said, like always look like it's not a care in the world, but out there just doing it. All right, now we're gonna start with outfielders. Shin-Soo Choo, Kim Hyun-Soo.
I got Chu,
Choo or Vladimir Guerrero.
Vladimir Guerrero,
Vladdy or Andrew Jones.
Vladdy,
Vladdy or Manny Ramirez.
Vladdy.
Vladdy or Ichiro.
Oh, Ichiro.
Ichiro or Barry Bonds.
Oh,
There you go.
Okay, Barry.
All right, Barry or Ken Griffey.
Barry.
Barry Bonds, outfielder.
I grew up in the Bay Area, so I grew up
Oh,
a Giants
okay.
fan.
Nice.
So I watched all like the home run years, like the record breaking. I saw every at bat. So yeah, I just know how like good he was and how he just like would walk every game, and then like
Yeah.
a random game on, boom, a home run, and he'll walk 10 more times, and then a random home run.
Yeah.
Like it was
Played this-
incredible.
that's crazy.
Did you ever face him?
I faced him one time, and it was just like you said, like if it was like that far, he's like, no,
Yep.
that's not my. He waited for that one pitch, and when he got it,
Yeah,
didn't miss
he
it.
got
He
it.
never missed it. He never missed it. All right, so you picked Barry for your top outfielder.
Yeah.
Two other outfielders that you would pick, but we need two more outfielders.
Okay, I'll have Vlad. I'll have Barry in left,
Okay.
Vladimir Guerrero in right,
Okay.
because his arm, his bat, all that. Center field, Ichiro. Yeah, Ichiro's another, like, it was tough. Like, Barry and Ichiro are my favorites. I had to go Barry because I'm a Giants fan, but Ichiro is the best hitter of all time.
Yep. Barry, Ichiro, Vladdy. All right, last position we're gonna go, designated hitter. Okay. Victor Martinez or Edgar Martinez?
Edgar.
Edgar Martinez, Nelson. Oh, Nelly. Nelson Cruz.
Nelson Cruz, man, yeah.
Okay. Nelly or Mike Sweeney?
Nelson Cruz.
Nelly or Edwin Encarnacion?
Ooh, I'll go Edwin.
Encarnacion, Ryan Braun. Oh, Ryan Braun.
Braun.
Yeah.
I'll go Brawny.
Ryan Braun, Frank Thomas.
Frank Thomas.
Okay. Frank Thomas or David Ortiz?
Oh!
This is gonna stop you on the last one.
Yeah. I'll say David Ortiz.
Okay. Big Poppy and DH.
Because what he did in Boston, like there's a reason why he's a legend
Yes.
when he goes out there, and just like that whole World Series run, the first one when they broke the curse, like
Yeah.
like that was a lot of it, him
Yeah.
putting the team on his back,
Yeah.
and yeah, I got to tip my cap to that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
special. It was definitely special. I mean, like you see how big he is, but then also like what he's doing with the bat and stuff like that. It was
Yep.
it was impressive.
Make sure to subscribe to MLB Korea and check out my video with the Mary Talk crew here. Don't forget this week's Major League Big Matches, and see you next week.